your eyes, know yourself, realize, understand and empathize. We could learn to feel the world with love.
Hello, Humanists Australia. Jason here, your live stream host. Today we've got a special guest on today. It's Aron Ra, who is an atheist activist over in America, Texas specifically. You're currently on the board of directors of the American Atheists, Aron Ra. You used to be a president of the Atheist Alliance of America. And also you're active, if I'm correct, with the Satanic Temple. Is that right?
Yeah, I was their keynote speaker at the first SatanCon.
Yeah, fantastic. Which I might have a few questions to go over that, because I did have a look into it. It seems like a pretty interesting area to discuss.
Thank you.
But look, I just want to make this a nice natural conversation as we're discussing off there, Aron. What I'd love to, what we're doing here in Australia at the moment is doing a lot of like building up in the humanist movement. We had a lot of sort of ground movement, or we had a larger humanist base back in the day, particularly in Victoria, in the different states. Never a national movement though, and we've recently started the national movement about 5 years ago. And you've obviously been a part of a lot of movements as well, and building up communities. I guess one of my first questions, just to get an understanding of where things, or what you believe helped you guys build up the secular movements over there, and I know some of the tips or tricks that you found really worked or didn't work, I guess, as well.
Building communities. The nice thing is that we're online now. We can be virtual. I can have conversations, and do regularly, with people all over the world. Right now, Texas is talking to Australia, but like every week we do a Bible study where I've got people in the Netherlands, Britain, Israel, Canada, all involved in the same panel discussion. And of course, social media is a really great way to network. And people are always asking me how to contact local groups. I mean, it's just so easy. Just Google your area, and and I'll put them in. I'll do it for them sometimes, just because I know, and so hook them up with a couple of contact emails or phone numbers or what have you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of local meetups, which those are helpful, because that's what you really want. A local group when there is a hangout or get together or something like that.
Yeah, because like over here at the moment, we've got a lot of local groups, a lot of like general meetups, coffees, walks in the parks, and things like that.
I got to tell you, when I went to Australia, on the Unholy Trinity tour, I think it was the Atheist Foundation of Australia, that hosted us, and that was brilliant. I mean, they took really good care of us. We traveled in an entourage, so we like 9 people together on a plane, whatever. And well, more than that actually, and it was a good time. They wined us and dined us and showed us all the sights and all of that, and I really appreciated how well they took care of us. Some other places, I land in Edinburgh, and I'm looking for my contact, and they said, and so I get a text message, "Oh, you just take the train."
Yes. Well, what's your opinion of the Aussies down under? Because obviously, like Americans generally, as far as I'm concerned, or no, is a pretty good opinion of us.
I have some friends down there, and I appreciate.
Yeah. I think it's quite fascinating, Australian, from a personal point of view. We seem to hit well above our weight in that sense. Like, we get involved in a lot of areas which, for the population that we have over here, I'm surprised that we get involved in so much world politics and have the degree of power that we have. But it's good. It's good. We have more recently brought in a couple of new rules or laws, as I think you'd say. I'd be keen to get your sort of opinion on them. One of them is, I'll probably start with the hate speech laws that we've just brought in. I won't go into the actual details of the policy itself, but generally speaking, and I'm not a lawyer myself, so I can't fully grasp the full extent of it. But generally speaking, it seems to give the government a bit more power to label certain groups as hate groups, and therefore have the ability to lock them up. Those powers are somewhat vague, although a lot of laws in Australia are pretty vague in that sense. So see how that one plays out. When it comes to hate speech laws, though, we see a lot of conversations in the UK of sort of what's happening over there. Where do you sort of stand on freedom of speech? Like, how far, like, do we go? What's the point at which, like, it becomes bad to prevent people or, you know, get the government involved in those conversations?
I do wish that Americans understood what free speech means, because there's a lot of people, a lot of my countrymen just don't really have an idea. They seem to think that freedom of speech means that our universities are supposed to surrender their venues to the speaker for whatever reason, who wants to say whatever he wants to say. And universities are ultimately, for the most part, they're private businesses. I think that applies to all of them. Even if they're state funded, they still have the right to deny. So they certainly don't have to give you a venue. You know, they can offer it if it's going to be funded by some local group, but it's not something that you can just have to do your Nazi rally or whatever, which has often been the case. People think that if they post something on Facebook or anywhere on social media and that business blocks it, again, that's a business. They all have their own standards for what they're going to be able to do. I was in the UAE, and I remember I was sitting at a table full of Arabs who had never been an atheist before.
Yep.
And so they have that like level one, first time ever meeting an atheist that they know of conversation.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them tried to do a little apologetic with me, and I said, "Okay, here's 5 ways that we know that the Quran is wrong."
Yeah.
And my host grabbed me by the shoulder and says, "We got to go," because apparently it's a felony to say that the Quran is wrong.
Yeah.
And inside of 1 minute, we're in the car and going down the road.
Yeah. All right. What was the potential ramifications of that?
Well, I was told that it would be prison time if convicted.
Just for saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's always the risk when it comes to these like free speech laws. It's never particularly like the government currently in place that's the concern. It's always the ones down in the future, isn't it? Really, isn't it?
Well, it was supposed to be that the reason we have what freedom of speech means in this country is that we can criticize the government. And the government cannot retaliate against us. So one of the symbols of the freedom of speech was that we could burn a flag, burn our own country's national flag in protest of some policy.
Yep.
And our current dear leader, Donald Dumbass, has openly admitted that we no longer have free speech.
Yeah.
When he took away our right to burn the flag. He also admitted that without free speech, we are not a free country anymore. Yeah, so we are not a free country anymore. We no longer have due process because his administration or regime is ignoring that as well. There is now supposedly a presidential task force that was put out through our attorney general, and then she started making noise about targeting certain groups that have an independent view of traditional marriage or who are opposed to Christianity or who support leftism. All very vague.
Yeah, just vague.
Just all of our enemies, everybody that I don't agree with, is now a target of the government.
Yeah. It's and
it's everything our founding fathers warned us against and tried to prevent.
Yeah, it's and I've been watching a lot. Funnily enough, I'm sure you know this, but American politics is not so much pushed so much over here, but so fascinating for us over here in Australia to watch. Very much like reality TV, we're heavily addicted to what's going over there. In the sense of, like, not to say that it's making light of it. There is obviously, horrid stuff happening in a lot of ways. Well, depending on which side of the aisle you fall on. But
there are
so much of this-
occasionally people who are not the kind of people you want to see in sexy outfits, but who insist on wearing sexy outfits in inappropriate places. And it's so inappropriate both for the place and the person in the outfit that you just can't stop yourself from staring in wide-eyed horror. I get why you're watching American politics.
It's fascinating. So much so, though, Aaron, you wouldn't believe it, but I've had many conversations with people over here, and they've, like, very clearly not an American citizen, but they're like, "Oh, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat." I'm like, "You're not either of those. You can't even vote." Like, and they're like, "Oh, you know what I mean." I'm like, and then you start questioning them about Australian politics, and they're like, "Oh, that thing's boring. I don't even look at it." And yet we've got a mandation, or we're mandated to vote over here. So if you don't vote, you actually get fined, which is fascinating. But
I dare say that we would have a very different system of governance if everybody had to vote. But there's a lot of things that need to be changed. So I ran for office in 2016, which I knew was a lost cause. I mean, fuck, look at me, right? And I'm running in Texas, right?
You didn't get the primary, is that right? Or they didn't support you or something like that? Is that
it had been
only vaguely touched on?
But election cycle over and over again, it would be Republicans running against another Republican, primarying each other. There was nobody to oppose them.
Yes.
And I knew that I wasn't going to win, but I was looking for a few good debates because the guy I was running against just had such deplorable policies, and I wanted to show off how bad they were. Somebody else who was much better qualified and actually wanted the job and would have been good at it started running at the same time, and so I just bowed to him.
Yeah, okay.
You've actually got a shot at this, and you'd be better at it than me. And I was in politics only long enough to realize that I don't want to be in politics because it's just begging for money, and that's it. And I'm not about that. So here in the United States, running for this district of state senate, I was told that I would have to have $35,000 just to start my campaign. Whereas if I was running for a similar seat in the UK, I would be capped at 35,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So that I can only spend up to 35,000 pounds, not start basically there and ascend from there. And my opponent here in this Texas district, the Senate only runs once every other year. So they're mostly unemployed, and they don't get a whole lot of money. So it's like a $21,000 a year job, something like that. It's very part-time. However, my opponent got a single one of his many donations was a $2 million check for his campaign.
Donation. Just a small donation there.
$2 million for a $21,000 a year part-time job.
Yeah, that is. Yes, I don't. I don't know the extent. I know we brought in some recent laws around how much you can receive as a party, as an individual, and as an independent, which has been also a little bit controversial because it talks about, like, bringing out the independents or, like, pushing them out. Over here, our political system, is, a lot of people say it's the two-party system like yourselves, but actually we've got a lot of independent senators in there. We've got a lot of, like, individual parties. We're currently seeing the rise of effectively the far right party, which is the One Nation party over here, which would be effectively the same as your Republican party. I'd say they're sort of like similar sort of tones.
Yeah,
and things
everybody
like that.
has their own Nazis.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're Nazis because we actually almost had a Nazi party running which was they were outright like, they were the
Well,
white
we have
nationalists, I think,
people
but
in the Republican Party who actually identify as, or if they don't identify as Nazis, they identify as next best thing. Christian nationalist, right? What the hell is the difference now, right? And that would, really the only difference is that some of them are Jewish.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense in either paradigm, but they are. They're white supremacists. Somebody was doing a show recently where they wanted to talk to MAGA people, right? They just have MAGA people call into this call-in show, and they'll talk to them. And so every call that they got only wanted to talk about race issues. They were only white people trying to promote white power versus everybody else. That's it. So is that really all that MAGA cares about? White versus everybody else? It seems
from the outside, I would I think there's a good argument to make that claim. But this is coming from the Australian perspective. Like we're quite centre left over here in a lot of ways. In fact, our centre left party has a super majority in the current House, so we're surprisingly aligned.
Does everybody vote?
It's also partially because we have a preferential voting system, and so
tell me about it.
Have you heard? Yeah, so the preferential voting system allows us to effectively say, look, let's say you're an extremist, okay, and you vote for your extreme party on the left or the right. Then you also label your second preference and your third preference and so on, and then
you call that preferential, not ranked voting.
No, because what happens is, well, as far as I'm aware, it's not called ranked voting because it goes, if your first preference doesn't get in, then your vote moves to your second, and if that party doesn't get in, then it goes to the third. And then just to make things a little bit more confusing, in the Senate or the higher level, we've also got proportional voting as well. So, which is, I think that's similar to Israel's voting system, where it's like
that's what I was going to suggest. One of those two, because in it, what you end up with is you have the greater evil. You have this megalomaniacal monster who's running, and then you have the popular status quo favorite, the one you're supposed to vote for, but then you've got some surprise candidate who jumps in and who's like fucking brilliant and just like, well, this one will do amazing things, and I love this guy, so I want to vote for this one. But if I vote for this one, that splits the vote between the safe vote and the better vote. That gets split, and so the greater evil wins.
First past the post. So preferential voting system has allowed us to get away from that whole situation, which allows smaller candidates to actually get some votes, and we also get the candidates actually get paid. I think it's like $5 a vote for the first vote that they get, which then allows them to sort of like build up a little bit of traction, but also means that you can go out and vote for the parties that you would prefer without feeling like your vote will be split effectively. So it's definitely for the preferential voting, as much as I can see around the world, it is, and I might be biased because I am Australian, it seems to be one of the better voting systems. And then just to lock it in with that proportional voting system in that Senate seems to keep a very good balance of power. And even right now, there's actually in the Senate level, sorry to get so far off topic, I'll bring it back to the hate speech laws in a sec, but just to get, even in our Senate level now, the main party, which is Labor, has actually two parties that they can deal with now, which is the Greens and the Liberals, or the coalition. No, the coalition's gone. The Liberals, and they get to put through, or they can work with either party. So it's not like, oh, the Republicans have to work with the Democrats. It's Republicans work with the Independents, or the Democrats can work with the Independents and another group or as well if they want to get through actual legislation, which is very, very interesting. I think this is one of the first times we've actually had this scenario to the degree that we've got it. But look, I'll bring it back to hate speech laws because one of my issues that I've been struggling with, I know from a general sense or general point of view, is that fighting for the right to be, I guess, mean, we'll say, just like abusive in some ways. That seems to be, the precursor that people are like, no, we need to protect the ability to be abusive to some degree. Not inciting violence. They always, well, most people will cut the point off at inciting violence. They're like, that's bad, but I still want to call someone, an abusive name. I won't go trying to keep it PG here, but I'm struggling with the idea of saying that that's a good thing to vote for, fight for. And I'm wondering, I wanted to get your opinion on, is it something that we should be fighting for, the right to be abusive in that sense?
If you criminalize or ban particular words, then people will just misspell that word or pronounce it differently. And so, like on Facebook, you might call someone a PDF file.
Yep.
So you're dodging the censors there, and pretty soon PDF file is not going to be a PDF file anymore. We all don't understand what kind of a file document that is on your computer, but not so much anymore. We understand it means something else now just because of the bots. Yeah. So I don't get that kind of censorship. Neither do I get why I would necessarily want to have to use hateful pejoratives. You know, what's that about? And people who get angry about, well, they're making me be politically correct. These are the people that are complaining about that have never been correct about anything. So I don't understand what they're upset about.
Yeah.
I would like to see a certain amount of decorum, but I don't think you can enforce decorum.
Yeah, first of all, we haven't banned, as far as I'm aware, any particular words outright. It seems to be more of like a, if you're harassing someone or they're feeling, and it seems to be a little bit more, there's a bit of leeway in like how far the cops can actually go, which I think is actually trying to give them that leeway to pull people up that are on the edge of the circumstances.
It's been a couple of times that I would make a comment where I'm trying to explain taxonomic phylogeny, and I have to explain that we are all apes, right?
Yeah.
And so, but if you say you are an ape, even if you say we are apes, you could still get flagged by the bots and have your post taken down. And even when you ask for a manual review, they still get it flagged.
This is now you've got is it?
Yeah, and now you're marked, even though it's clear what was meant. Yeah. And that's meaning any member of the taxonomic subfamily Hominoidea. I have to be very specific because somebody with human eyes is going to look at that post after the bot flags it.
Yeah. Victoria has banned Nazi symbols. Yes, we did that more recently, unless it's to do with is it Hinduism that uses the swastika as well?
It's reversed.
I think it is. It's reversed. Yeah, they are
but
both.
Don't expect actual Nazis to know that.
No. Yeah, exactly. But with the abuse of or when it comes to people being abusive online and things like that, one of my opinions is also, yes, okay, it's bad that we ban that sort of behavior or get the government involved. I'd also make the argument though that on the flip side, allowing that behavior is just as big a restriction on freedom of speech as allowing that behavior, because there's a lot of people that are timid out there and don't deal well with conflict. I myself, I'm fine with it. You can call me whatever name you want, and I'm just like, brush it off. But there are a lot of people that don't engage well in that sense. And so if they put their opinions out there and they're met with like an instant, oh, you're an F-head or you're a this, that restricts their ability to actually go out and talk their mind in a lot of ways. Is that something that we should consider when it comes to these sort of
I don't think that needs to be managed by the government. I think the format that you're using, social media platform or what have you. I mean, different businesses that provide these kind of forums to have these conversations, they will have rules that should enforce conformity. And then you have some other group that brags about how they don't do that. And for a whole weekend, their first weekend of operation, maybe they don't, until they realize what a festering dumpster fire they have become.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, he's giving the companies the ability to manage it in much more desirable ways for the way that they want to manage it, giving different spaces for different groups, effectively.
Yeah.
All right.
But on other matters, like if I'm told, and this regime has made noise like this, that we can't speak ill of Christianity, we can't promote left-wing ideas, or we can't advocate for gay rights. We can't come up with the radical idea that everybody has a constitutional right to the freedom of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which includes a freedom of expression, and that would apply to trans people as well as everyone else. If you say that, well, now you're targeted again by the government.
Yeah. It's very difficult, and like, funnily enough, I've had a few conversations with people that are very, very for freedom of speech, right? But they don't actually understand what freedom of speech is. Like, I found this quite fascinating, because they're like, no, we need to protect freedom of speech at all costs. Like, and I'm like, so is there anything off limits? And they're like, no, absolutely nothing off limits. I'm like, then what about a picture? And they're like, oh yeah, pictures are completely fine too, And it's like, what about a picture of, like, CSAM or, like, child abuse or something like that? And like, oh, whoa, no, that's off limits. Okay, well, there's your first point of reduction of freedom of speech, and deservedly so, absolutely. But then it's like, okay, what about inciting violence? And it's like, well, no, inciting violence is off the tables too. And it's like, what? So you're saying that freedom of speech is good for what we have right now? I'm like, but you're not in favor of absolute freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Like,
so there was a famous trillionaire, and you can guess probably which trillionaire I'm talking about, who once declared himself to be a free speech absolutist, and within days realized that he could not be, and had to start plunging down limits.
Yes. I've seen a fair bit on that. Speaking of particular trillionaires and their platforms, Australia has recently released a ban on social media for under 16s. I'm not sure if you heard it. A few countries have been sort of getting involved in the conversation as well, and it looks like it might even be going much more viral than expected. Which this is once again one of those sort of like gray areas of, is this going to be a good thing? Is this going to be a bad thing? From what I'd love to hear from you is, like, do you think that overall for secular beliefs or ideologies and stuff like that, this would be potentially a good thing? There's a lot of slop on social media at the moment, and maybe preventing kids from even getting to that point could be.
Well, admittedly, I mean, this is well outside of my wheelhouse. I would think that there should be social media platforms that are exclusively for, say, the minor audience.
Yep.
Just as you have to show that you're old enough to get in this movie, that likewise you can be too old to get into this movie, kind of thing. And then I would think that such things would also have to be heavily moderated. So everything we were talking about that we might not do at the adult level, we would definitely have to do at the minor level. Because there the issue is, it's not it. We should have a guarantee of anonymity public anonymity. When you create your profile, the platform knows who you are and where you are and how old you are. You have to do all this documentation to get in there. But your username can be, fidget spinner 29. Who cares, right? And there's no picture, and so nobody there's no series of photographs that identify who you are. Maybe it's just like the old chat rooms from the 90s, where that's all you get is, you get to be represented by a I don't know, a graphic depiction of your favorite comic book character or whatever, any kind of image, and you get to speak as that person, but there's no sharing of personal data. Maybe.
Yeah.
And I've given any thought. This is never anything that I had to think about. So
No.
I would think that
Throw it out.
the under 16s, much as they want to show, and they can send photos to their friends, people that they know. You've got their phone number, share it like that. But if you're on a social media platform, you've got the advantage of anonymity. You are depicted by a Pokemon character that represents you. Nobody's going to know who you are or where you live.
Yeah.
Nobody can blackmail you. And there's records also of everything said to everybody from everywhere. So
yeah. We currently have things like Kids Messenger by Facebook. We've got things like YouTube Kids, which is allowed. These are heavily moderated, heavily managed services. I've even seen a recent article come out by Facebook saying that they banned or blocked something in the 500,000 user profiles that were under 16s, and that they're now pushing for exactly what you're saying, which is, hey, let's create something that's designed for these age groups. That would be probably interesting. How, I guess, is going to come back to what we were saying earlier. It's giving the companies the ability to sort of put their policies in place of what they believe is acceptable, and I guess it's up to the parents to do their own due diligence and say, this is the platform.
Just as is an important, some people go to homeschool and they grow up and become adults, and they talk about how they were deprived of the social interactions and the type of the benefits that you would have gotten from socializing in that way. Other people complain that it's a bad environment, that they didn't fit well, and they would have rather have avoided all of that. But the social media platform, where you have the anonymity, you should also have the ability to have the socialization, be part of the conversation, be able to get online, just like with Discord or whatever, see all the different topics that you maybe want to look at, right? Pay attention to all these different, click on any of these things, see if the conversation interests you, and be able to join in or not, as you will. I think that kids should have the option to be socialized just like they would be in a if they were in a public school kind of environment. But with the safety that no personal information, you can't share pictures on this medium. You can share pictures if you know the person's phone number, send it straight to their phone. But
I think one of the biggest things that I find kind of worrying about the anonymity of the social media platforms at the moment,
bearing in mind that the forum itself knows who you are.
The forum it does.
The people you're talking to might not necessarily, but you can always report someone. And then there's a full record. You can't delete what you said.
No, well, for the major ones anyway, unless you like on Signal or something like that. One of my, and this is like comes back to like the freedom of speech again, which I've had a few chats.
Maybe I just add something to that. Maybe you want to delete something so that it's no longer public, but just because it's no longer public, you thought better of the stupid thing you just said, and so you deleted, and that person will never even know that you said that. But the format still knows. And if they ever need to act on it, they can.
Which has been good for like Kids Messenger, for instance, where me as a parent, I get to see like the different photos going through, and I can make sure that safe content is being pushed through and stuff like that, which is a positive. But one of my concerns, I guess, when it comes to the anonymity of it, is that it's not necessarily people in Australia or in America. It could be people all around the world, and giving access to there's like, not everyone in the world is a positive player in the grand scheme of like, of your society or your culture or whatever you want to, be sort of encouraging your kids to move into. And this can be, potentially a positive, it could be a negative. But in my, stance is like, do I want, we know that there's lots of Russian bots and things like that out there pushing, controversial or divisive information. Do we want that to be the freedom of speech that we get our kids to be totally engaged in?
There's two other things we need to address. One, and they're both in heavy usage. They're leading the industry, and they both should be completely stopped and reversed. So one of them is AI, which just deprives actual talented people of vocation. So you have you can instantly produce images, even movies, depicting somebody in a shameful light that looks exactly like them in a video, but they're naked, or and doing embarrassing things. You can just tell some program to produce that for you, and there it is.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, I've seen so many videos of late that I realize that I'm not even watching something real. I'm watching some cute animal rescue video, and I realize that the motions are not realistically possible, and so I'm not really watching I'm not watching a real thing. I'm watching fucking AI. So what AI has been able to do is not just that it's depriving artists, both writers and graphic artists, it's also better enabling people to lie.
Yeah.
Which is a big problem for me. I hate lies, which is why I'm not religious.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to prove your point, it used to be that you could produce photo evidence, you could produce videos or whatever. But now, I was watching videos of some of our senators and such saying things they never said, but it's built like it's them talking, and it looks like it's them talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Degrassi recently did that one where he shows the video of him saying the earth was flat or something like that. And he's like, this isn't me. It was never me. I never said this. So,
yep.
And funnily enough, the
I've
flat earth is like, he never said it was a globe.
Yeah. I haven't seen any video of me doing that yet, but I've seen a couple of still images that are, they're intentionally hurtful caricatures, but if you have the artistic talent, do it. Right.
Yeah.
But don't take the lazy way of just telling a computer to do it.
Well,
and the big thing for me again is that it's all about it's helping lie. That's it. That's all AI is a fucking lie machine. And then the other problem is algorithms. So now, it used to be that let's go back to the dawn of the internet. Let's go back to Y2K. Fundamentalist Christian or myself, we Google, we put in the keyword that we're both going to look up. We both get the same websites in the same order. Yeah, but the algorithm takes everything else you've looked at and directs the right-wing fundamentalist to right-wing fundamentalist sites that then just echo chamber back at them. And me, I Google the same phrase, but because it's me Googling it, not that guy, I get a completely different set of sites that say completely different things.
Yeah.
So that's a problem because, again, we don't have any objective reality. We don't have a common ground. We don't have a fact in common that we can look at. And I don't like to say that the left is as bad as the right because they usually are not on anything except on this one thing they are. When I look up news, there's a lot of talking heads with pundit channels, and they always use sensationalist language. Trump gets destroyed by Jasmine Crockett. Really? I'm betting that Trump never even heard that she said this.
Yeah.
Certainly not bearing any injury. Right? He doesn't even know. Right? How the fuck was he destroyed? Quit using sensationalist language. Major breaking news. No, it isn't fucking major. It's not breaking. It's not news. Shut the fuck up. The old headlines, when I was a kid, the newspaper would have the whole headline. You could read the whole story would be in the headline.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in the topic, you could then read the story to get the details of it. But our current headlines said, you won't believe what they said next. They said this. And now you don't know. So now you've got to look up the thing to find out. Didn't say anything worth listening to. Why am I fucking reading this? So I really wish they would correct that. And I hate that I see this on the left so much. I see it on the left as much as I see it on the right. It's the only thing that I see happening on the left as much as I do on the right.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that as well. And funnily enough, I probably watch more right-wing content only to understand where they're sort of leaning towards. Because I kind of get the general. I can watch like one leftist and be like, all right, I sort of understand the points that they're making, or I just know where they're going to be landing because I'm more that mindset anyway. But yeah, it is a frustrating thing to see, like, oh, this person's going to be destroyed, and you go in and they don't even not even in the same room, like maybe not even in the conversation, or they don't show the response that they've got. I'll be interested to see if, as we speak about AI, because as it allows more lies out there by video content, and funnily enough, actually, just to digress a little bit, I remember watching Jordan Peterson suggest that people should be locked up for doing such things at one point. I wonder if he still believes in that.
Doing what specifically?
For creating content of, like, for instance, his face, but speaking something he never said. And it's like,
Yeah, it used to be that, photographic evidence meant something.
Yeah.
I saw this graphic that I thought was really funny, that accounts of miracles. And you have these, these charts of all the numbers of miracles are reported every year. And then there's a mark on the calendar, invention of cameras. No reported miracles, right? And then it starts. It says invention of Photoshop, and then it shoots right back up.
Yeah.
Well, now of course we've got AI, so it's just.
Yeah,
and I'm sick to death of the way that people lie so much. As an atheist activist, I'm constantly encountering people who know they're full of shit, sometimes will openly admit that they're full of shit, but continue to lie anyway. They'll say that I've had people tell me that they know that what they believe is not really true, but they're going to believe it anyway.
Yes.
Or when the first time somebody admitted that to me, they said that it was about transitional species, and he was talking about teaching class. He said that he knows that transitional species exist in the fossil record, but he wants to teach students that there are none because he said it was important that they believe there are none. Yeah. So it's an open admission. You think it's okay to lie, and yes, they do. They all think it's okay. When I get into religious arguments and I criticize lying, invariably, the Christian will say, "What's wrong with lying?" Because that's what their whole position is based on. That's what it depends on. That's what all apologetics is.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, sure. Like from a humanist perspective, like lies are sometimes, fine. Like for instance, if your grandmother's on the deathbed and she says, I'll see you in heaven or something like that, and that's her belief, you're not going to sit there and go, no, grandma, heaven doesn't exist. You'll be like, yeah, of course, I'll see you there, because it's not going to affect her in a positive way by telling her the truth in that scenario. But in the general sense, like when we're talking about deception, I think deception to that extent is that's when it becomes wrong, when you're deceiving in the sense to try and get your point across, regardless of the truth that you know. So
that's the explanation that I have to give. These Christians cannot find a moral dilemma with lying, and so I have to explain that the only thing I hate is injustice, and that includes lies and violence, which I treat similarly. That you can use violence in a boxing ring, in the MMA. You can use lies on a theatrical stage, as an actor in front of a camera, but we're not. You understand that you're not. You have an opponent in the ring who knows what they're getting into. You're not attacking some little old lady at the bus stop. There's a huge difference there. and lies and violence are similar in one other respect, that there's like only in matters of desperate self-defense is that excusable, and maybe not even then.
Like the lies, like for instance, like let's say we're in a desolate wasteland and a group of raiders come across us and they're like, "Where's your family?" A lie in that scenario, absolutely acceptable.
Yeah, as I said, and maybe not even then. That doesn't mean it's not ever, but maybe not even then. Yeah. So, but the faith believers, they're all about lying. They will defend lies because they need that. They're desperate to pretend things that they don't know, to pretend to know things they don't know. So they're going to claim facts they made up, right?
Yes.
So that's what the whole belief system is based on.
Yeah. Or the
just give me all your money. Give me all your money. Don't even save enough to have to have food to eat or clothes to wear. Just give me all of your money, and then after you die, well, then you'll get rich.
Sounds like your insurance policies at the moment over in America.
Well, that's what Jesus said. So what would Jesus do? Rip you off blind. That's what he would do.
I've got a question from Les. He's just asked, what is the connections between atheism and humanism, in your opinion? And I've actually watched a fair bit of your content now, and I can't quite put my finger on whether you call yourself a humanist or whether you call yourself something other or some other ideology. I know you've talked about humanism quite a lot back in the day, but I haven't seen anything particularly recent. Yeah.
It is a curious thing that I don't get invited to many humanist events. I have spoken at some. I was invited to a World Humanist Congress in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I was excited to go to that one because South America was the one populated continent I'd never been to. But they ended up canceling that for whatever reason. I think somebody ran off with all the money, as often happens. But yeah, so that one didn't happen. But I have identified as humanist. I primarily identify as atheist. I think it's important to let everybody know that I am not playing the pretend game. Now, humanism it's not necessarily atheist. It's definitely secular, and therefore we're not basing anything on religious justification. But we're talking about a body of ethics. And it's important to have ethics, but atheism by itself doesn't. Atheism is just, I don't believe you. Right. So the answer to the yes or no question, does the subject have a belief in God? Yes equals theist. No equals atheist. Not plain. It's not another belief system.
No.
It's not believing your empty ass assertions. So that's the challenge. I have to stick with that. I do like having a body of ethics, and so I will identify as humanist. And then I also like the body of ethics where I get to dress in goth, and so I'm Satanist as well.
Yes. Yeah. I was actually planning on dressing up in more of my goth stuff, and getting the man liner, the guy liner on. I thought, no, I'll let it show.
My wife and I like to go to this little goth club downtown Dallas.
I heard you talking about this on one of the recent pods.
I especially like when it's warm enough. Right now we're going to be in sub-freezing temperatures all weekend, and that's too bad. But I like to ride my motorcycle down there. And I because you always get the best parking when I go to downtown parties. So you have to park blocks away. You have to pay $20 at least just to park the car, and then you got to walk in your goth outfit through downtown at night for all these places that don't open up till 9 p.m. And then walk home like that back to your car anyway, right? I just like on a motorcycle. I can park on the sidewalk right outside the front door.
Yeah. I've done my fair share of LARPing in the past. So I know what it's like to be catching a tram dressed in medieval armor.
I got one for you. I used to do Society for Creative Anachronism, a big medieval LARPing thing. And we went to this, we went to some massive, I can't remember, it was a massive event in Arizona. We're going from one town in Arizona. We got to drive like a couple of hours across the desert to this other town in Arizona, which fortunately was going on like in the wintertime. Arizona doesn't get cold, especially not the town we're going to. It never gets cold, but if you're doing it in the winter, you can live. Do it in the summer, no, you're going to bake. But anyway, there's a half a dozen of us on motorcycles. We have all of our weapons and stuff. They're stored in a truck that's carrying all of our camping gear and all of our weapons and all of that. but we're wearing our armor.
Yeah.
Imagine 6 motorcycles, guys wearing plate mail armor, the helmets, the horns,
The apocalypse has come.
I think we look great.
Hey, I would love to see some pictures, honestly. And I know some.
Sadly, that was back in the days when you needed film, and then you needed to pay somebody to develop it, and so we didn't take pictures of a lot.
Sorry. Yeah.
And you couldn't do it on the bike.
Yeah. No GoPros. I've got more of a personal question to ask, because I've been sort of diving into more religions. I've been diving more into humanism. I've only just got into humanism last year, by the way, so I'm still doing all the research that I can on it. And I wasn't expecting to be hit with so much cross contamination of other religious information, especially from the Bible and whatnot. But when it comes to the most peaceful religion, have you got an opinion on what the most peaceful religion out there is?
Most peaceful when you have to compare them next to each other. I would say that Christianity, I think, is still the bloodiest religion in history.
Mm-hmm.
Islam hasn't caught up to it quite yet, but it's trying.
Yeah.
As far as the most peaceful or the least homicidal, I know the Jains. Jains have this thing about karma that they refuse to do anything, good or bad. Which
really,
I don't even know what you do with that. I would have thought that the Buddhists
nihilist
were the
Is that nihilist almost of being
nihilism, as I understand it? And I should make a video about this. Nihilism, as I understand it, is when it's not that you believe in nothing. That's what I was told that it was, that you believe in nothing. But that's not it. It means that you do not believe that there is a meaning to life that is external and externally imposed upon you. If you want your life to mean something, and I didn't for a long time. I was perfectly happy hedonist. I didn't have to have a meaning of my life at all. I'm down with that. It's good. I found a meaning for my life. And so if you want your life to have meaning, you have to decide what that is, and then you have to work to that end. It is not that you were created for some special purpose, and it certainly wasn't to be a pawn in God's wars so that you could then wrap your lips around his colon for the rest of eternity.
Yes. I heard you recently talking about the afterlife and how much you'd be disappointed if you rocked up and like, oh, eternity. Oh no, please no.
Can we just do maybe a half eternity?
Yeah.
My math is not that good. Accommodate me.
Yeah.
I want finite.
Yeah, and honestly, jumping into it, and because I was kind of raised with we're brought up with the idea of heaven and hell and all that sort of stuff, and so you always got it in the back of your head. But when as soon as I became atheist, I tell you what, it felt like a weight off my back. I was like, okay, I don't have to be so concerned about going to a bad place, because from the odds of it, it's from my research, you were way more likely to go to a bad place or have a bad if you are reincarnated. I'm lucky that I live in Australia, and so are my odds that good again? Will I get the lucky dip, or, in that sense? I don't know if that's the case.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. I should let you finish, please.
No, I was just going to say that I live a good life in my own sense, but I don't live a good life in any religious sense. I'm a good person. I do a lot of good things in what I believe in, based on the humanistic values. But when it comes to any scriptures, I'm not going to the good place. I'm pretty sure of that. So I'm finally I can just be good the way I want to be good.
Yeah. Well, the consolation is you've never met anybody who would go to heaven. Because everything will get you into hell. And if you ever did meet somebody that would meet all the criteria to go to heaven, you wouldn't want to be with them.
No.
Yeah.
And was it you that was saying that the idea of like, if I don't go to heaven, for instance, but my mum does go to heaven, and then when she's in heaven, but I'm not, then that's, goes against what a heaven would look like for her, right? But therefore, it either takes away the free will of her, or that's not my mum in that sense, because my mum would want me in the heaven. Was it?
Yep.
I think it was you that said that.
Among others,
that's a great
there are plenty of people
among
that have said that. I mean,
Yeah.
how can, and Christians will argue that because of their assumption of moral superiority, that they would spend eternity looking down on their children in hell and laughing at us, because, as you put it, they wouldn't be them anymore. The argument that I've gotten from Christians is that they wouldn't have free will anymore. They don't understand they don't have it now. Christianity, with all the nonsense about prophecy and everything, doesn't actually allow for free will. Not when God can harden the Pharaoh's heart and do all. There's no free will in that. If God is forcing you to do, if God predicts everything you're going to do or forces you to do what you weren't going to do otherwise, no free will.
Yeah.
In either of those cases. But these people will think that they have free will in life and then suddenly won't have it anymore in heaven. If you ever thought free will was a good thing and that you had it, why would you want to be not with it anymore? Because they say, well, you just wouldn't have desires anymore. Why exist then? If you can't be interested in anything anymore, if you can't grow anymore, if you can't go learn more, why the fuck exist? So that you don't die. Fucking kill me. The coward dies 1,000 deaths, the valiant die but once.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being in heaven with an eternal sort of dopamine hit, and just being like, I guess you'd have to be just out of your, you'd be like just spacing out the entire time. You're just like, I can't comprehend it. The more I look into it, or question it in any meaningful way, it's just like there's so many very clear holes in here. But that's not to say that obviously when I'm talking to Christians or other religions, I'm not there saying, hey, you can't believe this. I'm very much like, hey, you can believe whatever you want as long as it makes you happy and you're not pushing it onto other people. I think that's a really critical point.
For me, I can't even go there anymore. And for me, the way the government treats it, from my standpoint, since there is, I would love the government. I would love a representative of the government to just make this statement.
Yeah.
Since there is absolutely no actual factual evidence of God, nor even any logically invalid arguments for God to show that God is even a possibility to consider, then the state will have to take the position that there evidently is no God. But regardless what our policy is on that, it would be nothing short of dishonest to make any assertions about the particulars of which God or what God wants or what God is or any of that, because we don't fucking know. If there was one, we wouldn't have any way to know what there is. So anything we say about that would be a lie. So we would have to base all of our policies on reality. We'd have to understand that regardless whether there's a God or not, history will be your judge. Period.
Yeah, I agree. I was told Jesus died for my sins, so if I never sin, I'm disrespecting him by making his sacrifice pointless. That's interesting.
If you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing.
Just quickly, we've got only a moment left. Out of the sort of the philosophical, altruism and effective altruism and those sorts of components, utilitarianism and things like that. Have you got any which you sort of gravitate towards or favor in any sense, or are you just sort of like a mix of everything in that sense?
I consider myself I'm pragmatic. I often say that the only value, because truth matters to me, I want to improve my understanding of what really is. I don't want to be deceived into believing something that is not evidently true. So my information has to be correct. And the only value then that information can have is in however accurate it can be shown to be. And if it can't be shown to be accurate at all, then it has no value at all. So tell me all about Jesus. You're wasting my fucking time. Show me what you actually know.
Yeah, and how it can be applied in real life. I'm pretty pragmatic myself in that sense. So
yeah.
All right.
And then they can't show me anything. All they can do is assert.
Yes.
Oh, I know for a fact there's a... No, you don't.
Yeah,
knowledge is demonstrable. Facts are objectively verifiable. You don't know shit. Faith is just pretending to know what you don't know, and you're demonstrating that.
That's it. All right, look, that's the hour, Aron Ra. Thanks for joining. Any last comments before we hang it up, or?
Help me.
Do you need some help immigrating over?
Yeah, it's a fine joke, but I've got snakes I can't get on a plane.
Yeah. Yes, okay. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I know what I know. All right, excellent. Thanks everyone from Humanists Australia and every other person that's joined in and added to the comments. We will see you on the next stream, okay? See ya.
Thank you, Kai.
Use your head, use your eyes, know yourself, realize, understand and empathize. We could learn to feel the world with love.